pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, as we always announce before these meetings, there's no eating or beverages, no food or beverages in the chamber. Next item, before we get started, we would like to postpone item A on the public hearing, Downtown Development Authority 2017 Restated Development Plan and Tax Instrument Financing Plan. I would like to get a motion that we will postpone that with a date uncertain at this time.
So moved.
Support. All right, it's been moved and supported that we will postpone public hearing item A. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is carried. Thank you. And just so happens, that's for public info, individuals who are here specifically for item A on a public hearing. As you just heard, that item is postponed indefinitely. The presentation, Ms. Schrock, is she here?
Yep.
Will you need an assistance? Well,
What are we doing?
no, she's working. She has to.
Where are we at on this?
The presentation.
Oh, okay.
It's Karen Schrock.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name's
Ms. Schrock, can you hold for 1 second? Officer, please come down and excuse, we have people eating down front, and we've been announcing this for 3 months now.
Oh, thank you.
Food and beverages. Water is okay.
Chips away, is that acceptable, sir?
Okay, we're going to do this one time. No, she put the chips away, but this is the only time that this exception. This has to be, the rules have to be respected.
He said only water, he's got coffee and the city administrator drinking soda, and so is your colleague. So is it just water or is it soda and coffee?
We've been saying this for 3 months, since January. Water, H2O is acceptable. Food and beverages, anything outside of H2O. Now, at this one particular time, this is the last time this year, we will make an exception for this. If you put your food away, you can stay here now, but in the future, no more exceptions.
So is it just water?
Well, please, ma'am, please. It's okay, officer. She put the food away, that's fine. All right. But that's not going to happen again in the future.
Coffee or just water?
Yeah.
All right, Ms. Schrock, please go proceed.
good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm here. My name is Karen Schrock, and I live at 23545 Rockingham. And I'm here today representing the Southfield Commission on Senior Adults, and I'm currently serving as chair. You have a copy of the written report inside the bag that I gave you, along with some other materials. Our annual report looks at several areas. The first is age-friendly Southfield, and I think that all of you are aware of the work that we've been trying to do to make Southfield an age-friendly community. Small but Mighty describes the Southfield Commission on Senior Adults. 2017 was the 30th anniversary of COSA, and with fewer than 10 members throughout the year, it embarked on a major mission to improve the quality of life for Southfield senior adults. Following the September 2016 joint resolution by Council and the Mayor to pursue designation as an age-friendly community by the World Health Organization and AARP, COSA began planning to enter the network of age-friendly communities. Southfield was accepted into the network in 2017, and COSA has taken the lead on behalf of the city in planning efforts. After acceptance into the network, COSA sponsored a community-wide kickoff event in May 2017. Over 100 attendees were present, and I also included in your packet the Southfield Sun that talked about that kickoff event in May. Karen Cathan-Terrace, along with representatives from Southfield's sister city, were present for that project kickoff. Attendees placed preliminary suggestions for consideration on listening post boards around the pavilion for each of the 8 areas to be addressed during planning. In addition, participants volunteered for the work groups being established to review each of the 8 areas more thoroughly over the next several years. The first community conversation was held in September 2017. This provided an opportunity for over 140 residents to discuss 5 of the areas and begin identifying aspirations for the city in those areas. Additional community conversations are being planned for 2018 to continue gathering intelligence from the community. After the completion of the community conversations, that information, along with data from the listening posts and surveys, will be reviewed by work groups and the appropriate city boards and commissions and staff. The next step will be to incorporate all that input into a plan for the city. COSA would like to express its appreciation to the City Council, the Mayor, the City Administrator, Parks and Rec Department, and the Planning Department for their strong support over the past year to launch and develop plans for an age-friendly Southfield. COSA meetings are very different than they were in the past. For the first part of last year, we met at the Berg. COSA now meets monthly on the 3rd Thursday from 4 to 6 in the Parks and Recreation Building. Each meeting now has a presentation on a content area, such as nutrition or talking to your doctor. The meetings also feature a presentation from a significant community partner. In 2017, we began with the Area Agency on Aging and AARP. The bag you have is from the Area Agency on Aging, and there are materials in there from them. This approach will both familiarize COSA with community resources and familiarize community resources with COSA. On the communications front, COSA reestablished regular columns in the Scribe, and we put the most recent Scribe in your packet as well. And we have an article in each of those, a quarterly publication from the Parks and Rec Department. COSA was also featured in several front-page articles in the Southfield Sun. We also have been covered by the Municipal Cable 15, and we plan an update to our brochure this year to more accurately reflect our work. All of these efforts are aimed at informing the community residents about our work and inviting their participation. We began this report by indicating that COSA accomplished much with few. Current membership of 9 includes me, the chair, Kendall Murphy, the vice chair, Earlene Traylor-Neal, secretary, Latina Denson. If there are other COSA members here, I would like you to stand. I saw Latina Denson, Harmon Gunther, Marilyn Hogger, Mitchell Simon, I saw Mitch, Denise Stewart, and Cheryl Walker. Thank you for being here. We would like to also acknowledge contributions of 2 former members who helped us out last year, Charcy Frazier and Sharon Kelly Person. We are expecting to forward 3 additional names early this year to bring our membership to 12, and we still have vacancies. So for those in the audience or listening who are interested in our work, please feel free to complete the City Boards and Commissions application. We have appreciated the mayor forwarding names of interested persons, and we've also appreciated the ongoing support of Rhonda Terry from Human Services, who has faithfully worked with COSA over the years and supported our past and current efforts. She communicates with prospective nominees to COSA, attends all meetings, and fulfills the role of liaison in an outstanding way. Support from Terry Fields, the new Parks and Rec Department Director, has also been appreciated. Her staff, especially Nicole Messina from the Senior Activities area, has been really important. In the future, we have a major project underway. We will need hardworking and committed members. COSA meetings are very different than they were just 2 years ago. We are focused and goal-oriented. We are educating COSA members on key topics. We're bringing in key stakeholders to talk to our membership about what they do and updating them on what COSA does. It has been amazing on many fronts to learn how much needs to be learned about our city by its residents and other stakeholders. Likewise, it is important for the city to learn as much as it can about resources in the community to improve the lives of seniors in our city. And we look forward to facilitating both. So in your packet, you have our draft work plan, so you can see what we're working on this year. As I mentioned, you have the scribe, you have the AARP, and you have a sampling of the materials that we use at our meetings to educate our members. All of you can use this as well. It's a guide for older people talking with your doctor. I know you're not all older, but you can still use this. There's a flyer in here on healthy eating after age 50. So we feel very good about this past year, and we are there and available to help you in any way that we can. Thank you.
So, a wonderful report, and I've been supportive of COSA since I've been on council, and I met with your group about maybe the first month when I was on council, and they brought the fact of this age-friendly city, and I want to see us continue to grow that, and that'd be a substantial banner in our cap for the city of Southfield. And also, I've heard good remarks about your leadership.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments, Mr.?
Ms. Schrock, how you doing? Good
I'm
to see
doing
you.
well.
I just was curious as to what would you say the best, is there a contact number or email that'd be best to be able to get in touch with COSA if someone
Yes,
wanted?
Rhonda Terry
Just go through
with the
Rhonda's-
City of Southfield Human
go-
Services is our liaison, and she then kind of vets things to whoever needs it.
Gotcha.
But you can always contact me as well.
Yeah, all right,
Our,
great, thanks.
my phone number is listed. I'm still old-fashioned.
Thank you.
Mr. Frazier?
Yes. Hello, neighbor.
Hello there.
Yeah, she lives in my neighborhood, and I'm glad of it, too, because she's a very hard worker in our neighborhood. But years ago, COSA did something that I think was really, really helpful. And I know you have a limited number of people, but what they used to do is they used to do surprise inspections of nursing homes, and it really changed the way nursing homes were administered here in Southfield, because in the beginning they were pretty embarrassed when people walked in. In fact, they didn't want COSA to come in and do a walk around to see what was going on, but they really kind of cleaned up their act. And I don't know the status of the nursing homes in the area now, and I know you have a limited number of people, but I know that there are a lot of seniors or a lot of people in nursing homes or rehabilitation centers that their family is out of town, and sometimes the administration takes advantage of that they know there's not someone from their family that's going to be there to check up on them, and COSA really stepped into that gap and really did a good job of putting them back on their toes. So
I am aware of that, and the Health and Community Services domain work group under this age-friendly initiative will be looking exactly at that kind of thing. one of the residents was also talking as we came in about the situation at one of the apartment complexes where seniors predominantly lost heat and water. So we hope to find ways to work closely with the city to advocate for seniors in those situations.
Okay.
Because that really is our mission, if you recall, the
Sure,
bylaws
sure.
speak to advocacy.
Right. Did you say that 12 was your goal of?
We will have 12 as soon as our last 3 recommendations get addressed, but we can have up to 15, so we
Okay.
still have 3 vacancies.
Okay. I hope this message is heard by people that are maybe not in this room, but are watching or listening to the council meeting tonight, that it's a good thing to get involved, because it'll get you out of the house. It'll get you to work with people similar ages that you are, so you have a good contact with people and doing good work in the community. So,
Absolutely, it's very important work.
sure, thank you.
Just to remind you, 40% of our residents are over age 50, so we're looking at a big group.
Okay,
Thank you
you.
very much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming.
All right, we have no appointments. We have minutes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
you got quite a list here, but I'll go through it. We have the regular meeting of November 27th, 2017, the regular meeting of December 4th, 2017. The Committee of the Whole meeting on visioning session was December 15th, 2017. Regular meeting of December 18th, 2017. And the Committee of the Whole meeting, January 8th, 2018.
support.
It's been moved and supported by Mr. Frazier that we accept the minutes as presented. What is your pleasure, council? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Procassi made the motion, Mr. President.
Procassi. It was moved, it was approved and supported that the minutes as presented are approved. Okay, all right. All right. Summary of items taken at the Committee of the Whole meeting. I'm going to just mention that we did go over a list of goals and objectives that were presented and consolidated from our December 15th visioning session. We had about 91 goals, and they were consolidated down to the top 5 per. We had approximately 9 categories, and each category was the top 5. So that's some info of what went on in our consent agenda items. Those items will be worked on for the next 2 years. We currently move into our consent agenda. And just for our listening audience, our cable department will be scrolling through the consent agenda. In my move to be more efficient, I might have moved too fast, but we will be scrolling through the consent agenda, the cable, our listening audience. But also, for your information, I will give the fiscal impact and the impact, the fiscal impact, and what these particular agenda items are. But for your information, please go on our website, the City Council website, and look into the agenda. You will find all the details there, because obviously, for me to give the details, we will be here for quite a while. Consent agenda item A, accept and file the 2007 Planning Commission Annual Report. In accordance with the requirements of the Michigan Planning Enabling Act, Act 33 of 2008, the Planning Department, on behalf of the Planning Commission, submitted their 2007 Planning Commission Annual Report to the City Council, which details the Commission's operation and the status of post and future planning activities, including upcoming planning and zoning items that may require council action. This report is extensive and very informative, and I invite our citizens and listeners to take a look at this item which is detailed under the council agenda item on our website. Consent agenda item B, Red Pole Park easement and authorization bid. In the summer of 2017, the city raised $55,000 for the installation of the Red Pole Park along the John C. Large between Civic Center Drive and Lasser. The Michigan Economic Development Corporation provided the city with a match of $50,000. They gave us $105,000. After the funds were raised, the city secured an additional 7.5 feet wide easement. The fiscal impact of this the art installation will cost approximately $110,000 to $130,000 and will be paid for the funds raised. The balance of the funds will be paid out of the Southfield City Center Fund. And the council will authorize the purchase and also the bidding of that particular installation. Consent agenda item C. Water leak program. The water leak program is a Southfield water customers occasionally suffer leaks or other malfunctions at the water supply system on the customer side of the meter. When this occurs, it can result in a substantial, unintended water use and a water bill of up to several $1,000s. Historically, a program has been administratively that adjusts downward by 1/2 2 billing periods in excess of the normal bill. To qualify for this once in a lifetime adjustment, the customer would have had to confirm that a leak or other failures have been repaired. That, in essence, if there was a leak, you had to confirm that the repair has been made, and then you would be considered to reduce your bill. It is estimated that this program may result in one adjustment a month averaging about $1,000. It is further estimated that only a small percentage of customers will qualify this particular program. And this is a once-in-a-lifetime program to assist those customers who have an unintended failure on their side of the water system, the water meter system. Consent agenda item D. Authorize request from the Michigan Department of Transportation for a variance of the City of Southfield North ordinance for the construction project on eastbound and westbound I-96 between Drake and I-75. This project, all the projects associated with this particular construction are anticipated to commence in April 2018 and to be completed in November of 2018. The contractor will be restricted from working during Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and the New Year holiday period. The fiscal impact on the City of Southfield is none. There's no fiscal impact to us for this particular project. Consent item E. The Publicly Funded Health Insurance Contribution Act deduction correction. This is a correction to something that we approved on December 4, 2017. Council approved a resolution specifying the dollar amount of the biweekly employee deductions from the health insurance as provided by state law. Deduction for health insurance as provided by state law. It was discovered that the Blue Cross Blue Shield Community Blue PPO 12 plan used an incorrect premium base. Correctly applying the employee contribution result if we correctly apply these corrections, it results in a slight reduction to the employee contribution. The corrections items will be the Blue Cross Blue Shield corrected amount. It will reduce the single savings by $1 $1.32. It would correct the employee and spouse payment by $3.17, and it would reduce the family payment by $3.97.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I'd like to move that we approve consent agenda items A, B, C, D, and E.
Support.
It's been moved by Mr. Cruz and supported by Mr. Frazier that we approve consent agenda items A through E. What is your all in support?
Aye.
Aye.
Oppose? It carries. The public hearing has been canceled, postponed. And now we will go into, we have no site plan. We will go into communications. I did add in Mr. Ronald Perst to the communicators, and the first person up will be Mr. Person, and understand Mr. Person is not here. Okay, before I go further, I think we will indicate that you will have 3 minutes to speak. The next person that's recognized is Ms. Pamela Gerald.
Residents from Sapphire Apartment, can you come up here, please? First, I'd like to give a shout out to a very good friend of mine. His name is Bill Cobb, and I want you guys to remember that name, Bill Cobb. On January the 8th, these residents from Sapphire Apartment came here to talk about some of the poor environmental conditions that they're living in. I'm trying to figure out, how did this happen in the city of Southfield, the center of it all, the all-American city? It's a shame that residents are living in apartments that don't have heat, that have running water, flooded apartments, raw sewage, doors that don't lock securely. It's even purported that there are squatters in the building. Now, who's on code enforcement? Who's on building duty? How can this happen? You guys gave this gentleman a tax abatement, and for whatever reason, he didn't use it. This is the same guy that the mayor put on the DDA. Now, I want to believe that you guys are not going to allow slumlords, and I don't know if he's a slumlord, but just based on what these residents have shared, they're not living in the right environment. So when you, Dan Brightwell, the mayor, and Fred Zorn did your visioning session, did it include apartments? Did it include these residents here? Obviously not. But you're concerned about neighborhood revitalization houses. So you need to put the apartment complex on your list of visioning things to do. I'm going to suggest, since you used money to buy the bear and the boy statue, or the boy and the bear statue, you allowed Mayor Siver to borrow the money and then fundraise and raise over $700,000 to pay the general fund back. Why don't you give this owner a loan, do a lien on his building, get these repairs done so these residents can have a really nice place to live in? They should not even be paying rent to live in these types of conditions. And what are you going to do about it? You're so busy trying to micromanage me, drinking and all of that. You need to be concerned about this issue. This is the bigger fish right here for you to fry. Not trying to micromanage and do everything in this particular room here. Now, how long do these people have to wait? And what are you going to do about it? You don't have to answer my question, but you should answer their question. You, Dan Brightwell, even tried to shut these people down on January the 8th. You didn't even want them to come forward and talk about what their conditions are. And you sit behind that little president seat up there thinking you all of that in a bag of chips? You're not. Now let's see what you do with these residents. Put your presidential position to good use.
Mr. Gerard Mullen.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Gerard Mullen, Southfield Citizens Oversight Committee, Post Office Box 155, Southfield, Michigan 48037. Tonight I'd like to talk about Section 4.26 in the Southfield City Charter. Section 4.26 is entitled Power of Council over Salaries and Compensation. The first sentence of Section 4.26 states, and I quote, "The council shall have no power to change the salary or compensation of its members," unquote. So far, so good. Now here comes the bad part, the illegal part of Section 4.26. And I quote from the second sentence, sentence number 2. "The salary or compensation of all other elected or appointed officers may be fixed, reduced, or increased by council at any time," unquote. In other words, the second sentence states that council can change all other elected officer salaries at any time. That is, the mayor, the city clerk, and the city treasurer. This is in direct conflict with state law. That is, the Home Rule City Act of 1909. This public act, PA 279, creates a local officers' compensation commission, the folks whose job is to determine salary changes for all local elected officers. Also, City Ordinance 771, that is 771, restates the Home Rule City Act, which is reflected in Section 1.176, that is 1.176 in the Southfield City Code. The takeaway here in this presentation is this: Section 4.26 in the Charter does not conform with state law, nor with the City Code. In a word, Section 4.26 of the City Charter needs to be deleted from the Charter or rewritten to conform with state and city law. Thank you.
Mr. Richard Kendrick. Ms. Deborah Browder, Browder. Mr. Fred Bunker.
He's not here either.
Alrighty. And I added Mr. Ronald Purst. Mr. Purst.
Good afternoon, Council.
Good
afternoon.
I am a resident of the Sapphire, but I'm here kind of on another piece. I want to say thank you to the City Council members and the Inspector's Office, Mr. Zorn, who came out to the Sapphire and looked around and absolutely saw. I know Mr. Brightwell's been out there. I thank Councilwoman Taylor, who helped a couple of people, elderly people, handicapped people, Mr. Zorn, and Ms. Terry from the community office, who absolutely assisted residents with assistance. And just to put a plug in for her, she needs some more of those cars. In particular, the mayor and Mr. Zorn, who allowed us, another resident, Mr. Gaines and myself, to come in and have access to speak with him. So now what I want to do, and Councilman Casey, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, I appreciate your questioning, your specific detailed questioning when I observe you. So I can only hope that that same detailed questioning, council people, be put upon the Sapphire so that we remain under the magnifying glass to make that place, quote unquote, Southfield standard. We need to be Southfield standard again. There are two things I'm going to speak about. We speak about cleanliness. I hope that's under your radar. Our basement is filthy. Our hallways are filthy. There's safetiness, not just of the locks, but there's a plate of glass, approximately 7 feet by 15 feet, that is laying outside on the side. Now, we have kids to go to school in the Sapphire. So just imagine one of those kids crack on that glass. It's a glass plate. I'm not up here being upset with Resco Company or what have you. We are past that emotional piece right now. See, we were all emotional and upset because we were displaced. But now we need to be about business. And I can only hope that for this 300-strong community, that we stay under your radar and that you guys, please, make us Southfield standard again. And I thank those who've been out there and the inspectors. As I sat, the clock didn't start, by the way, so I still had 3 more minutes. As I sat out there, I received a call from the Sapphire about an individual apartment inspection. That had to come from pressure from the city council and the mayor's office. I recognize that. Keep pressuring them. Make us Southfield standard again. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. All right, we will now move into the council portion. We have an
President?
expense. Yes, sir.
I'd like to move the approval for travel for Councilwoman Lenny Taylor for the new elected officials seminar.
Support.
Been moved by Mr. Cruz, supported by Mr. Frazier, that we approve the expense account for Ms. Councilwoman Lenny Taylor. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I abstain.
Ms. Taylor abstained. The expense account is approved as presented. Mr. Mandelbaum.
Yes, I guess the first question I have would be to Mr. Zorn. Do we know with the Sapphire Apartments, do we know what the status is? I've heard different rumors about if residents are back in their apartments, if they're not back in. Do you have any status update?
I'm sorry, since January 8th, the building department has been on site daily, working with their management company, working to get heat restalled, working with the fire safety systems. The Southfield Fire Department's been on site. There have been multiple meetings. A week ago Thursday, there were a dozen of us plus in a room with the management group. We see investment being made. They're working to address the corrections. They're still putting up families in hotels. I know council president was on site. The legislative committee had met last Tuesday and had a very earnest conversation about rental inspection ordinances. And for certain members of the audience who like to confibulate, you will recall that several years ago, this ordinance was in front of council, and you visually opposed it, as well as bringing out the management of the apartment property you were in, saying Southfield did not need such an ordinance. And 3 years ago, the building department was asking for it. So let's not confibulate about the past or romanticize. Let's stick with dealing with this. The building department has been on site daily. We're working with the owner. This is one of those situations no city likes to find themselves in.
Okay,
Quiet, please, quiet.
thank you.
All right, hold it. We can only have one discussion going. Mr. Zorn has the floor. Let's let him finish.
So it continues to be a top priority of the building department, and we're working our way with the management group. We'll be scheduling another meeting with their leadership to review the situation. In absence of having an ordinance in place, which takes time, we will move, and we are working in the direction of putting an ordinance in place. We'll continue to work with the owner. I mean, that's the recourse we have, and not happy about the situation, and it is getting better every day. I mean,
Let me just mention that on the 18th, the building department, I and our chairman of our neighborhood services, in addition to Mr. Zorn, we met for several hours with the president, the vice president of operations, and another young lady dealing with Resco. We met with them over here in the building department. We had a very thorough conversation with them that dealt with everything from A to Z. How did it happen, and what do you plan to do to improve your brand? Because obviously there's been some damage there. Today, I went over with our building department, 3 inspectors, we can inspect apartments, the city can inspect when we are invited. They were invited into 3 apartments. There were obviously quite a list of things that are wrong. The legislative committee, like Mr. Zorn just mentioned, we are taking a look at it. We'll probably fast track it to get a building inspection, residential building inspection. And the building department is drawing up right now the plans of how best to do that. And all part of the day, what happened today was part of that process of making sure when we do roll out this rental building inspections, apartment building, we would have covered all the various scenarios that need to be covered. So the management, they have been addressed very thoroughly and let's just say drastically about what this is doing to the city of Southfield, what we want in Southfield. This is not acceptable to the city. It's not acceptable to our residents and the people that believe in Southfield. So I know people who are in the eye of the storm, only thing they see is the storm. But we are, as a city and as a city council and as an administration with the power and abilities that we have, we are addressing this very thoroughly. And it is embarrassing.
Both buildings are consumed with trash. Both buildings, you walk through the hallways, you smell nothing but trash. In a minute, rodents will be inside of our apartment if they're not already in there. I have pictures and proof of that. They have not had the trash removed from the premises. Where you move out at, all of that is filled with garbage. We should not live in an apartment in Southfield as if we live off of Maccabee.
Ma'am, and I definitely sympathize with you. We over there today, we saw some substantial violations and I won't address those because it's not my field of expertise, but in speaking to the inspector, there were some substantial violations. They will be addressed as best we can.
Do you enforce that they have trash removed?
Well, that I don't know. I would have to talk to our building people and our inspectors. But what I was getting ready to say, I'm assuming, Mrs. Zorn, if you called our building department and request an inspection of your unit, they can come over. Right now, we don't have the authority to go into the building, but we can, into the building in general, but we can go into units. And we went today for 3. So feel comfortable in calling the building department and requesting an inspection. We can get it for you very shortly.
But I would like to say in terms of, so I'm in 1012. My name is Janet Threat. My mother has dementia. I had to move her because she was so upset, disorientated. I mean, I can't tell you how upset this made me. She's 90 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to get her down the steps, and I couldn't get her down the steps because she don't know what steps are. She think people coming to get her. I just can't, tell you how frightened she is.
Mm-hmm.
And what I have to do, I pay $16.75 a month. $16.75 plus $109.49. That's the water, right? I shouldn't, well, nobody should have to, but I'm saying I pay that amount because I thought I was moving to luxury. That was the whole, not Southfield, I paid it because luxury. Because I thought I wouldn't have these problems for my mom, not even for me, but for her.
Mm-hmm.
But for me to have to remove her, and I know nobody cares because it's my problem, but for me to have to remove her, that's unacceptable. And for you to say the apartments are good, come to 1012 and I'll show you my apartment. I just got back Saturday. I don't know why they put me back in it because I still don't have heat in the living room. This is not in this 1675 apartment. I still don't have heat. They punched a hole in the wall thinking it was a door but the manager hasn't been up. See, there's been no inspection. Nobody has come to right the wrong. It's mildew in there. I'm absolutely sure that's why I'm coughing. It's deplorable that we don't have people to back us up. It's just sad. It just breaks my heart that I have to go through this and that everybody here has to do that.
Yes, ma'am.
And that for you to say, is nothing you can do? If it's nothing you can do to help us, then where do I go? Who do I go to?
And not
What-
only
what
that,
can I
the
do?
gentleman that sat over there and said that it's getting better. That it's getting better.
Chairman?
He don't
Maybe
live
they
in our
showed you
unit.
the ones that
Okay,
are
okay,
better.
we can only have one conversation. Ma'am, let me,
Well,
okay,
I can bring you the doctor's papers and everything.
ma'am,
She shouldn't have to have her last days living like that.
ma'am, I respect you and I respect what you're going through. And no one here has said those apartments are in good condition. And I definitely didn't say that. And my tour today, inspection today, reinforced that
That they weren't.
they're not in good condition. But this is highly unusual to have this conversation. I'm going to leave it. I know, and I respect the individual and what you're going through because it's just wrong. But those are landlord-tenant kind of issues, I believe. And so let's get into that. We are working on what we can do as a city. We want to fast-pace it as much as we legally can because we can only legally do so much. We are governed by all kind of laws. But rest assured, nobody in this city, in administration, or on the city council, think what is going on over there is good for the residents. And today was reinforced that.
So,
I mean, what can I do now? What
Okay.
am I supposed to tell my mother who don't even know who I am? What am I to do now?
Okay, there's only so much we can do here. There's I really don't know, but deal with the landlord-tenant lawyer. If you have a lawyer, landlord-tenant, and go down that route. And there's some neighborhood services. We're really stepping across our boundaries here and deal with some neighborhood services. They can tell you, or
No one will help me. I went
well,
that
have you
route.
called the Red Cross?
That route too,
Okay.
we got to where we at.
Yes, ma'am. Wait a
I'm
minute.
just telling y'all the truth.
Okay, I'm gonna have to stop
This
this.
could be reversed and it be your money. Because
Ma'am.
don't think it's the end, because you don't know.
Ma'am, we are 100% sympathetic.
That it can do something.
Ma'am, okay, we have rest assured is being addressed. There's only so much we can do legally and personally. So now let me just move on. I want to move on with other individuals. I think I want to address Mr. Fakasi.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to just say a few words about this. I gave the administrator a newspaper back in 2003 when we had a problem with Eagle Nest. And we met with the State Association of Mobile Housing, and they said they were going to police themselves. And we had an ordinance that we were working on, and listening to them, I guess we just thought that they would take care of it. However, they didn't. And so my suggestion is that we go ahead and look at that ordinance, if you can find it, and see what we can and cannot do. And the things that we cannot do, I'd like to send to our legislative committee to work with the state and the health department to move in on this. We have 17,000 units in our city, and we cannot allow these things to become slums. We just cannot. I mean, we almost have the same amount of homes that we have apartments. So I suggest that we do direct the city attorney to look at that ordinance that we were working on back in 2003, and also give us means in which we could use to help these people out. Secondly, I think our legislative committee can work with some legislation which gives us the tools to go in and correct a bad situation. But I think this is very, very, very important to the future of the city of Southfield. Having that many apartments, it's probably a majority of our residentials, and we should take care of our residential people.
How do we get rid of the trash? Who do we call so we can get the trash?
so I'll give you the number for our building department. and maybe they can help you. That phone number is 248
County Health.
796 4100.
Building inspectors can go out there and put the lead on them.
Ms. Taylor?
If you wanted, my comment was going to be on the expense report. I was simply going to say thank you very much for approving it, and to let you know that your tax dollars are at work in me, because I am improving or renewing all of the knowledge that I had prior, and I'm refreshing myself and bringing myself up to date. So I do want to say thank you for allowing me to go to the Michigan Municipal League newly elected officials forum, and I retained a lot of information, and I will be bringing that forward and using that here in the city of Southfield to help all of the residents. But on the other note, along with everyone else, just to reassure everyone here that the city, and especially I can speak for myself and everyone here on council, we're doing all we can and will continue to stay in contact. I speak with people weekly from the Sapphire, keeping you informed and giving any information that I can to help and to support all of you. So that is something that I will continue to do. And we really do find that what you're going through is really totally unacceptable here in the city of Southfield. We agree with you.
Okay, go ahead.
How long is the process of this legislation for you guys to move? What is the time limit? I know it's involved and what have you, but we would just like to be assured again that you guys are supporting.
Okay, as I said, this is highly unusual, taking questions from the audience and giving you questions that are answers that are speculative right now. But the legislative committee, I sat in on it last week. It is coming down the pipe, but it has to be thoroughly vetted before we go out with anything, because it has to be enforceable, and it has to be, we're going to be looking at best practices. We've already looked at some, but to give you a time frame or to give you hope or give you despair, that's not fair to you right now, because this is coming down the pipe. But rest assured, it will be vetted extremely tough, because this is an issue that I think got nationwide attention. I heard the other day someone in California saw something about the Sapphire. So we want to make sure that this is not a recurring event in the city of Southfield for our rental dwellings. So with that, I think I'm going to let Mr. Frazier go, because he hasn't spoken yet, and then I'll go back to you.
Yeah, to speak to this, the legislative committee is already working on the ordinance, and you have to keep in mind that your apartment is your private property. It's just like your house, and there's no way that the government can come and knock on your door and walk in your house without you inviting us in. So for those people that are saying, well, where are you at? We need an invitation to come in. But in the meantime, we're working on the ordinance that will allow us to put the hammerlock on the landlords to keep the places up to date and allow inspectors to come in and inspect either apartments that are for rent or apartments that are already rented. But it's going to take some time, and as our council president has said, we have to do it legally, because the worst thing that can happen is make a bad situation worse by doing something illegal. So we're working on it as quickly as we can. We met last week. We've already got the framework. But one of the things is that, and it's been said at least twice already tonight, that we tried this a few years ago, and we had an upsurge of apartment renters that said, no, we don't want you to do that. We don't want you to come in and inspect our apartments. So now that there's a problem, everybody's saying, okay, now you can come in and inspect the problem. So we're working on that, and it's, as Mr. Zorn said, there have been some steps made to improve the situation. It's not going to get fixed overnight. The situation is such that there were problems going on that we were not aware of. What happened is the cold snap caused a catastrophe. The boilers stopped working. When the boilers stopped working, the pipe froze up. When the pipe froze up, they broke. It caused the catastrophe. Then that allowed us to come in and check on what was going on and found out that, hey, there's a lot of other problems that we didn't even know. So it's a matter of getting enough people in there and getting the things fixed. And I know the landlords apparently were doing something, but it wasn't adequate to solve the problem. So we're putting heat on them to make sure that they get done. So the fact that there's challenges of what are you going to do, what are you going to do, we are doing stuff. People, there's no saying, you're allowed to have your own opinion, but you're not allowed to have your own facts. And the facts are, we are working on a situation, and we're working as quickly and diligently as we possibly can to get this turned around in as short a time as possible so you can go back to a place that you're proud of and pay your rent and be happy with it. So that's my take. And I'm the chairperson of the Legislative Committee, so I can tell you that we are working on it, and we're working on it diligently to get the problem solved.
Mr. Mandelbaum.
Yes, I don't want to keep talking about the Sapphire, but I will give out another number that if you feel you need to take additional action. Lakeshore Legal Aid provides legal services for eligible residents, but you can give them a call at 888-783-8190, and hopefully they can assist you appropriately. I also wanted to mention this. Our Human Services Department had an expungement clinic beginning of this month at the library. They had over 20 attorneys and helped just over 240 residents or residents of the area with trying to get their records clean. I thought that was amazing that many people showed up. Also, we have our fire department had a record year again in 2017 with 14,255 runs last year. They were up, I think, almost 200 runs from last year, and this year they're already on record to break that number, averaging about 42 calls a day. So they've already had about 880 calls this year since January 1st. So they're very busy, unfortunately, but we are looking for more firefighters. So feel free you can apply. The information is on the city's website. Tomorrow, continuing with the public safety theme, the Southfield Police Department is having Pop with a Cop at the Outback Steakhouse on Greenfield Road at 6 p.m. You can go meet with some of your officers, get to know them, ask them any questions you have, and just like the fire department, they're also hiring, and you can get that information on the city's website. Last but certainly not least, this Saturday at 6:30, the Parks and Rec Department is hosting a daddy-daughter dance. Prices do go up on after Wednesday, but this Saturday at 6:30 here in the pavilion, they're having a daddy-daughter dance. Feel free to bring your child. For more information, you can contact Parks and Rec. With that, have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Mr. Frazier.
Yes, this is a different subject. For the past couple of years, it's been elevated that when people their homes have gone into foreclosure, we get a lot of appeals about, why did Southfield foreclose on my house? Southfield does not foreclose on homes. That's the county. The county does that. Already, so far, the county treasurer, Andy Meisner, has published a list of Oakland County homes that are in jeopardy of being foreclosed. And I'm sure that you can get that list. It was printed twice in the Oakland Press. And Southfield had a long list of homes that were likely to be foreclosed because the taxes haven't been paid. I urge anyone that hasn't paid their taxes to first of all, pay their taxes, but see if you can get a copy of that list from the Oakland County Treasurer's Office and see if your name is on that list. Bring your taxes up to date, and so you're not in jeopardy of losing your home. And the interesting thing on those are homes that are already paid for. They are not homes that have a mortgage on them, because if you have a mortgage on it, the bank doesn't want to lose that house. They'll pay your taxes and put it on your escrow or put it on or raise your payment. These are people that have already paid for their houses, and I can't imagine someone losing their house that's already paid for because they haven't paid their taxes. So if you think your name is on that list, I would encourage you to get that list and see if your name is there. But if you know you haven't paid your taxes, you ought to pay them and keep them up to date. And the one last thing, I know people have asked for telephone numbers, how to get a hold of different departments in the city of Southfield. Let me give you one telephone number that will perhaps be helpful. If you dial 248-796-5000, that gets you out to our main number, and then whatever department you need to talk with, ask for that department, and they can transfer you to that. So you only need to remember one telephone number, and that's 248-796-5000. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
To get into what Myron was saying, there also, if you get a hold of the county treasurer, they'll work out some kind of a payment plan that you may need to have. So if you do have mortgage foreclosure or notice, if you get a hold of the Oakland County treasurer, they have a plan that you can have and try to relieve you in that manner. So do that. If you can't come up with a lot of money at this time, they'll work out a program for you.
Mr. Cruz.
Yes, just one other thing on the totally separate matter. Actually, this is kind of more directed to Mr. Zorn. In the committee of the whole meeting and in this meeting, we've heard a couple of conversations about vacancies for different positions within the city. I would like to, if it's all right with the chair, request that we all get a copy of a vacancy tracking report so we can see what all the vacant positions are here in the city. Again, same kind of format, who's responsible for the hiring and when the expected hire date is, at least. And maybe even have HR talk about strategies that they're doing to fill these positions, because as long as I've been on council, just a lot of these positions seem to still be vacant, and new positions and funding is coming available. So I think we'd like to take some of the burden off of our existing employees that have kind of stretched themselves over some lean years and get some new talent into the city as well. So, and hopefully that can maybe be a part of a future COW meeting in the next month or so. That's however long it takes for you all to pull that together.
If not the next meeting, the first meeting in February, we can produce the list. And I think right now we've got half dozen plus positions posted, and I think I've got 6 vacancies in the building department and multiple vacancies in police and fire, and we've gone through multiple recruitment, and I can have HR produce a report is what we've done. So,
Okay, but for all positions?
we can do all positions as well.
Okay, all right.
The hot button issues, candidly, are police and fire, and then building. And the building compensation levels seems to be coming down. The marketplace is not recognizing that we have very generous retirement benefits. It's all about how much will you pay an hour. And we've got a wage structure that's negotiated with our collective bargaining groups that somewhat works, puts us a little hamstrings us and such, and we need to work our way through that. And if you look at what our neighbors, around us, in certain cases, the wages are as much as $10 more an hour, but they offer no retirement benefits.
Right. Okay,
Okay.
great, that's all, thank you.
And with that, I just hitchhike on the fact that the employment rate in the United States is very low, and every city and every entity in the United States is looking for employees, so that will dictate that it's going to take some time. From my old economic days, at the employment level, unemployment rate right now is structural. It's so low that it's structural. This is not bad, according to the economists. But I think we will continue to send a signal out that we are looking for employees and that's part of my conversation with Mr. Zorn, is to look at where we can fill slots as quickly and as efficiently as we can. And I know Southfield has a very stringent, clearing process. But I won't get off into anecdotal things, but we try to hire good employees that are beneficial for forever. So with that, I want to move on. The attorney?
Nothing this evening.
Thank you. City clerk?
Last week at the Committee of the Whole meeting, we talked about parliamentarian training, and everybody agreed they wanted to do it. So I'll send an email, but I'm going to give you 3 dates to choose from, which would be March 1st, March 8th, or March 29th were the dates available. So I'll send an email, but we can get that process started.
At a time? What, did they give you a time frame?
Probably starting in the evening, about 6 o'clock, 5:30.
Oh, okay.
Those Thursdays?
You got class.
Okay, well, we will work on that.
We'll work on it.
Yeah, try to make sure we can get it, something like that. I want to try to get as many people as there, because we're looking at the procedural conduct of this particular body, and I want to make sure going down the road that we're doing everything appropriately and everybody together understand what is the appropriate way to deal with Robert's Rules of Order or procedure. Okay, then Mr. Treasurer.
Yes. I just wanted to add, in addition to what the council members had said previously regarding the tax foreclosures and with Oakland County, another program is the Step Forward Michigan program, which allows homeowners to be able to apply for up to $30,000 in grant money. Eventually, it's a loan that, as long as they are current with their taxes afterwards and they stay in their home for at least 5 years, they'll be able to be forgiven on that. So it gives people opportunity. These are money, federal dollars that were given to the state from the hardest hit from the bank foreclosure program from many years ago. There was still some remaining funds left over, so I encourage everyone. It's administered through the Oakland County Treasurer's Office, so they can please contact them and ask for more information regarding the hardest hit Step Forward Michigan program. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Planner, assessor, engineer, we have nothing to schedule. And we'd like to enact ordinance number 1687.
Also move, Mr. Chairman.
Support.
Okay, been moved by Mr. Ficasa, supported by Mr. Frazier, that we enact ordinance number 1687. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. We will enact ordinance number 1687. Seeing no other business to conduct, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.